It's Monday. It's the first sip. It's Bakes on Things. Welcome back. I hope you had a great weekend. Holy cow, did we see some stuff happen on Friday with JD Vance? It was pretty awesome because it's everything we've been trying to say for months, but people just won't listen. Maybe when you get the vice president of the United States saying it, it falls on different ears. I don't know. But when the vice president of the United States says Canada's decline has nothing to do with Donald Trump's tariffs, and everything to do with Canada's own reckless immigration insanity, he is not attacking us, folks. He is simply diagnosing our problem. And the reaction from Canadian politicians, pundits, and especially from the hyperventilating Canadian commentariat proves just how allergic this country has become to hearing the truth. Let's go.
Welcome to Bakes on Things.
Welcome back to Bakes on Things, the first sip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation because here's the uncomfortable reality. JD Vance didn't expose anything the data wasn't already screaming to all of us for months. He just had the guts to say it out loud on X. Canada hasn't just stagnated, we've fallen off a cliff. Our real GDP per capita, the metric that actually measures standard of living, hasn't just dipped a little, it has absolutely collapsed. And the Toronto Sun did a great job this weekend of citing that in their article on this. They cite the chart right in their piece, and it's been floating around for months, though. Canada's inflation adjusted GDP per person has been in free fall, not flattening, free falling. Meanwhile, the US, even after COVID, even after volatile years, has roared ahead of us. In 2023, the United States hit over $85,000 US dollar GDP per capita. Canada, barely above $54,000. Americans are now enjoying a standard of living 58% higher than us here in Canada, and that gap wasn't caused by a tariff on softwood lumber or Donald Trump saying mean things about Ottawa on Truth Social. It was caused by a government that opened the immigration floodgates at precisely the wrong time without any plan for how to control it or to house it or to healthcare it, without any infrastructure, and without any respect for the real world consequences. Now, I'm not saying immigration isn't good. You need it, but you need it to be under control. And that government wasn't just Trudeau, it is now Carney too. This is liberalism as a religion, population growth as a strategy, and consequences be damned in all of it. JD Vance simply pointed out something everyone in this country already knows, but won't admit it. Canadian media refuses to say it as well, so Canada massively increased immigration during the most aggressive monetary tightening cycle in an entire generation. Terrible timing, when interest rates were exploding and Canadians were getting crushed under their own mortgages. Trudeau kept cranking up immigration targets like he was operating a cotton candy machine at a carnival. The National Bank warned him about all of this multiple times. TD warned him about all of this. BMO warned him. Internal government documents warned him. The country was screaming that housing supply hadn't come close to keeping up with population growth. Yet Trudeau and now Carney push ahead like the laws of supply and demand had magically ceased to exist. And yet now here we are in a country where nobody can afford anything and the youth can't be housed. You want to know why the average Canadian can't afford a home? Why rent is up 20, 30, 40% in this country? Why emergency rooms are overflowing and people are getting life-saving treatments in the hallways? Why people are waiting 8 months for a family doctor? It isn't a trade war with Donald Trump. It isn't some malicious plot by Donald Trump. It isn't the end of NAFTA. It is the direct, predictable, mathematically guaranteed effect of adding far too many millions of people to a system that was already buckling under its own weight. JD Vance said Canada leaned harder into diversity and it is our strength. Well, that's true. Diversity is our strength in this country, but immigration ideology is too high other than any other G7 country. And that's not xenophobic, it's just factual. Canada now has the highest foreign born share of population in the entire G7. Higher than Britain, higher than Germany, higher than France, higher than the United States. And yet somehow we're the only ones shocked that our housing supply, our hospitals, our job market, and our infrastructure can't keep up. And let me backtrack because it's really just the liberals who are shocked by all of this, and they keep going by the headlines that tell you Donald Trump did it all. Even Trudeau, though, admitted the truth right at the end of his political life, and that was that the great liberal architect of Welcome to Canada finally confessed that he didn't get the balance quite right. Duh, as the kids used to sometimes say. Translation, we're our immigration levels are off the charts. We can't absorb it. And Carney, who loves to play the strategic genius, admitted the same exact thing when he ran for the Liberal leadership. And he said Trudeau's unsustainably high immigration levels and 9% a year spending increases weakened the Canadian economy before Trump even touched a tariff. Carney said that with his own mouth. But yet, here we are. He's continuing the same policies. This is not a partisan argument here. This is arithmetic. This is just simple math, Canada. Canada cannot grow its population by nearly 3 million people in 3 years without some kind of plan for it in the economy. We cannot add 500,000 international students when we can't even house the people that already live here. We cannot create a system where newcomers and Canadians are all fighting for the same shrinking set of resources and then pretend that it's hate speech to talk about it. It's not hate speech to talk about immigration. Get over it. It is serious business here, folks. People can't live in this country. The proof is everywhere. Internal government documents warned Trudeau that skyrocketing immigration levels would increase the cost of housing and put pressure on healthcare. They warned that IRCC had completely lost control of the student visa system and the temporary foreign worker system. They warned that the country we live in, the country of Canada, would not be able to absorb these numbers. That's not xenophobic. That's the truth. These weren't conservative think tanks. These were the federal government's own experts, the very people Trudeau and Carney now pretend don't even exist. TD Bank said that the government's high growth in immigration and the high growth immigration strategy itself could widen Canada's housing shortfall by 500,000 units in just 2 years. BMO said heightened immigration flows meant to ease labor shortages. Well, they actually created more demand for the very housing that was already scarce. Every warning light was flashing here. Every alarm bell was ringing. And yet the Liberals, under Trudeau first and now Mark Carney, kept their foot on the immigration gas. So let's settle this once and for all. JD Vance didn't insult Canada. None of what he said is insulting. If you're insulted by it, then you don't understand how this country works. He told the truth. The only people offended by his comments are the people who built this mess and the people who profit from pretending that nothing is wrong here. It is easier for the CBC and the Liberals to scream, "Trump is the problem," than to admit they created the very conditions that are now suffocating our Canadians. The housing crisis? Liberal made. The healthcare crisis? Liberal made. Infrastructure collapse? Liberal made. Student visa chaos? Liberal made. Stagnant wages? Liberal made. The decline of living standards to levels not seen since the Great Depression? Liberal made. And now we have a prime minister who admits the system is unsustainable. He'll admit it to you, but he won't do anything about it. He continues with the exact same policies. This is not compassion for Canada. It isn't generosity in any way. It isn't humanitarianism. It is negligence masquerading as virtue. And it is Canadians, all of us, including Liberals, who are paying the price. You can blame Trump if it helps you sleep at night. You can blame tariffs if that makes you feel better. You can blame trade wars while eating your cereal. You can blame American politics for everything wrong in your life if you want to. But at some point, Canadians must look themselves in the mirror and they must ask a simple question: who really did destroy our standard of living? The answer, whether you like it or not, is that it wasn't Washington at all. It was Ottawa. It wasn't Trump. It was Trudeau and Carney. It wasn't foreign aggression. It was domestic delusion. That's what it was. JD Vance didn't expose anything. He's just calling out what's happening. He didn't expose us. He reminded us that all of the things we already kind of knew the truth of. We were just too scared or too polite or too complacent or too liberal as a country to say it ourselves. And that's the problem. Not JD Vance, not Donald Trump, not tariffs. The problem is that Canadians have been governed by people who refuse to deal with reality. And unless that changes, unless this country finally admits that immigration policy must match housing supply, healthcare capacity, and economic productivity, then the decline will continue. Faster, harder, and with even more and even fewer, sorry, I should say, people willing to point it out. Because right now, the only people telling the truth about Canada are outside of the damn country itself. And how scary is that? Thanks for watching Bakes on Things, the first sip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, join this conversation down below. Are you going to come at me about being xenophobic, or are you going to face the reality of this country? I want to hear you in the comments, including all of our liberal friends. That's you, George. Anyway, if you don't want to participate in this conversation because you're too afraid of it, then maybe you're part of the problem. The reality is, this conversation needs to be had in this country. It is the only way we're going to fix it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to join us at 2:45 this afternoon for the last word. We will see you then. Have yourselves a great Monday.